Ripple made that decision to donate the skull to the Bitcoin community or to the BTC community. Can you walk us through a little bit? So what was your thinking?
Yeah.
With that particular diff, and what kind of message were you looking to send?
So I'll give you guys some of the history around this, which some people know, some people don't know. Chris Larsen, a name many of you I'm sure know, one of the co-founders of Ripple and now executive chairman. He had one of his passion projects in life is around climate change and investing in things around that. And one of the things he believed deeply is obviously Bitcoin does consume a lot of energy. That's just a fair, neutral statement. It's just a truth. And he championed around the time that ETH was going through the transition from proof of work to proof of stake, he championed Bitcoin could do that also. And I think that's also reasonably neutral. And he personally, not Ripple, had funded some things to bring attention to change the code. That didn't happen, and that's okay. But that particular piece of art was kind of a representation of that. And I'll tell you, Damon Bailey, who is a well-known figure in the Bitcoin community, he and I were at the White House about 2 months ago, and he brought up to me something that I am personally very passionate about, which is the infighting in crypto. And you and I are talking about this privately. The infighting in crypto is just bad for crypto. It's bad for Bitcoin, it's bad for XRP, it's bad. It's like I have often commented maximalism, which I think is kind of a dying breed, but it's still there. As more people come into the community, I think it's getting better. But here he was talking about like how do we get Bitcoin as the original blockchain, and XRP is really the first one of the oldest chains. Like why are we fighting? I want Bitcoin to succeed. I want XRP to succeed. If Bitcoin does well, that's generally good for all of crypto. And so David was talking, if you're at the White House, and I don't know which room, getting a tour, talking about some treaty that was signed at this desk. And he said, why don't we find a way to have a kind of olive branch? And he brought up this skull of Satoshi, which they had tried to buy unsuccessfully for various reasons, and Ripple was able to buy it and donate it to them, and it's a gesture of we're all on the same TV.
A, very cool. B, you are someone, again, same guy on and off camera, which really is one reason why I respect you a lot. And I do think that to the extent to which there's a little bit less infight, will probably come up with a lot better solutions, and the industry can be bought.
What did I say? There's no crypto. I think one of the mistakes people make inside crypto is it's not about, I don't know exactly how many people are in crypto worldwide. Let's say it's around 300 million-ish. If we want to grow the industry, it's not about the 300 million doing more. It's about getting 3 billion more people into crypto. And the infighting, honestly, it makes us all look stupid. It's like, I didn't get along that. It's like, come on, And by the way, I also, as much as I admit, I love the XRP family. I love it. But I will say some, even the XRP family, it's like, look, the Bitcoin community is not our enemy. They really are not. If they do well, we're going to do well. We might do better. It's just it's not a zero-sum game. And I think the one thing I learned, I was in the Silicon Valley for 24 years. The one thing you learn is tech is not a zero-sum game. We're going to grow the pie. And David Schwartz was out there yesterday talking about rewiring the entire banking system and what this looks like maybe in 10 years or 20 years. We underestimate how big that change is and how profound it is. And we get there by being collaborative and working together, not against each other. Sorry, I'll shut up.
Looking forward, and I found really interesting just in how many different ways you're working sort of across the landscape. Certainly, you look at the in-road transaction. Frankly, just you're kind of unshackled now. our conversations now are more about what's going to happen than what has happened. Maybe though you would talk a little bit about that. And like acquiring a client brokerage is kind of interesting, because on one hand, you guys are doing everything as crypto native as can be, but you're also gesturing and understanding how F5 works, how Wall Street works. I mean, maybe you can give us some sense as to what you're thinking here.
So, look, this is going to sound a little hyperbole, but it is an amazing time to be alive and see the shift of headwinds to tailwinds. And I think people still underestimate how profound that will be when the largest economy in the world and the most important regulatory bodies in the world go from being hostile, openly and actively hostile and counterproductive, to constructive, to how do we partner with this industry. It's a massive sea change. I think people underestimate how consequential that will be over 2025, 2026 and beyond. Now, one of the things in the Hidden Road acquisition particularly, I think Ripple tries to be a little bit, we're kind of at the infrastructure layer. We try to think about where the world is going and make bets that are going to play out over years. I've always talked about, and this community particularly has been extremely patient as we have fought some frustrating fights. But the Hidden Road acquisition is really about continuing to build bridges between traditional finance and decentralized finance. And I think if you believe that it's just going to be, okay, the DeFi world is just going to grow and replace it, I don't believe that. We have to bridge that gap. And Ripple has been working around our payments business and bridging that gap for almost a decade. And for me, Hidden Road represents, if we want the largest market makers, the largest hedge funds in the world to come into this ecosystem, we need the infrastructure to enable that. Hidden Road is one of the fastest growing non-bank prime brokers. Most of the players in the prime brokerage space are the traditional commercial banks. And for those guys have been hostile towards crypto because of the regulatory dynamic. That's changing a little bit, but Hidden Road, I think, is a subtle, almost flex to their hundreds of clients, names you've heard of, the largest financial players in the world. They're using Hidden Road. They cleared $3 trillion last year. They're growing very quickly, and frankly, with Ripple's balance sheet, we're only going to see that accelerate. That's great for the XRP ecosystem. That's great for RLUSD. And I will keep reminding people, Ripple is completely committed to what we can do to make XRP the most trusted, the most useful, and the most liquid digital asset on the planet. They'll always discuss it.
I just want to, maybe you could double click that piece, because you had mentioned RLUSD and stablecoins are, I think you've noticed, a pretty big deal, and certainly Ripple's presence and entry into the market is a big deal. Just for clarity, how does that acquisition sort of fit with stablecoin strategy?
Well, there's a couple things. I mean, one, as they are clearing, I mean, they do trillions of dollars of clearing. One is they will do some post-settlement on the XRP ledger. That's a big deal, and if driving utility and driving efficiencies of that settlement, that's a big deal by itself. The second thing that is a big deal is using RLUSD as collateral. They do a lot of lending across the Hidden Road ecosystem. And again, this is big dollars. Hidden Road, after the acquisition closes, and this is probably 30, 60 days to continue to get all the regulatory approvals globally to close the transaction. But Hidden Road will accept RLUSD as good collateral on their platform. That's a big deal when you start thinking about the traditional financial world. And a lot of what Hidden Road does isn't just crypto. And that getting RLUSD as an accepted form for collateral across their ecosystem, I think will be a very profound step.
You are so going to be to nerd out on this, because it is very interesting. And also,
I probably like it because it's just a less obvious. I mean, there's a lot of talk. I mean, I've heard there's a rumor that we were trying to buy Sorpal. I don't know if that was it.
No, but it was so, but it was busy.
Yes.
And the choice speaks volumes, right? Of subtle or not, and I respected it, and I thought that was really interesting. You and I just have had many conversations. We do so a couple times a year, including, as I said in the to Ellie just now, you were, I think, the first worldwide, the big guy to come to my conference of our DC Tech League over in 2019.
Which is a fabulous event.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And you know, and your presence was very important for the history of that conference, and your comments even then about understanding and operating in a regulatory environment. You just mentioned sort of obviously seeking the worldwide approvals for this acquisition, which kind of underscores the fact that you see a little bit of everything. You see what's happening here in the United States, but you're also seeing how the regulatory environment is evolving in different pockets of the world. Could you maybe give us your sense of, and it's always just a snapshot because things are always moving so quickly, but so where the landscape is right now, obviously where the United States is, but also in the larger context of global regulatory into.
Yeah, but first of all, I appreciate this. One of the things Chris and I talked a little about backstage, I will hopefully at some point in my life figure out, but Ripple has always tried to be one of the good guys in terms of our posture towards regulatory compliance. We invest a lot in this. We have over 60 licenses from around the world. We just recently received a license in Dubai, and a Dubai land entity is now doing titles on the XRPL. Like, we have always leaned into this, which is great. What's frustrating and confounding is, like, why did the SEC pick on us? Like, we were the good guys for this space. There are a lot of bad guys, unfortunately, in FTX. You know, there's some bad things happening, and they picked on us. There's one of these, like, I don't really understand why they picked on us. But Ripple has and will always lean into a compliance first. It's not just because we have to, because it's the right thing to do, but it's also our customers are financial institutions. Our customers are banks. They will not work with us unless we are, you know, as white hat as you can get on this stuff. And now, the part of your question also, and you know, I alluded to this a little bit earlier, as much as other markets like Japan or Switzerland or the UAE, Dubai, and Singapore have been pro-crypto, the most important regulatory bodies in the world are the United States. And even though some of them may disagree, it still puts a little bit of it tempers the opportunity, it tempers the growth, it tempers the optimism. That has changed. Paul Atkins of the SEC has been exceptionally constructive, and he's only been there a few weeks. You know, Hester Peirce and some of the stuff she has said publicly, it's just refreshing and a bit kind of affirming to be hearing it from stuff we've been saying for years, to hear it from within inside the building. I will admit in this private audience, not to be shared with anyone, I've been back to the SEC once in the last month after it all finished, and it was totally surreal. I mean, it was just bizarre. It was like you went from like this years ago being in the building with meetings and this hostility to a warm, friendly, you know, like.
It wasn't, in terms of the enthusiasm, wasn't too different. I could hear for the crypto roundtables, people would really appreciate them, and not everybody was agreeing in the room, but they were really appreciative of the opportunity to share their views. And just, you know, on a couple of things, as I listened to that global reach, even Dubai, you know, that's really interesting. Dubai is looking to enter into the tokenization space. And in contrast to certain other places, you know, the real estate market is booming, and they want to do it through drive the tokenization market through real estate. And the fact that they're choosing to work with you in that space, like, again, it's very subtle, you know, kinds of things that he's saying, but they have a global impact.
Like, one of the things I believe in life, and I love coming to this event in part because you meet with the builders who are building cool shit. I mean, there are amazing entrepreneurs here. Some of them working on very small projects, some of them working on big projects, seeing the MoonPay guys, the Bitwise guys. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff going on. And that gets me very excited. But it's also, I believe in life, Underpromise, overdeliver. You know, when I see other crypto projects making these bold, crazy statements, I'm just like, no. You will not find me doing that because I'd rather surprise the community with like, look, we're thinking long term. Yeah, we're probably gonna make some mistakes here and there, but I think we keep our eyes focused on the long-term horizon of where we want to be, where we think we can actually build those bridges between traditional finance and decentralized finance. We're gonna surprise the world by how big a dent we can put in that horse. That's that.
It's that Midwest tolerate. It's that Kansas mentality.
Rock shark Jayhawk. There's gotta be a Jayhawk in here somewhere.
We always see the opportunity to sort of talk about not only where regulation is heading, not only where Ripple is heading, but also sort of conceptions, misperceptions in terms of like what exactly the XRP. Basic questions actually in some instances, and maybe it's because more people are coming into the space. Obviously, it's becoming even more interesting for both the retail investors, but also for the financial institutions. But you think about XRP, qu'est-ce que c'est? Yeah, the ledger. What do you come across and see most frequently as the sort of what people get right and then what people get wrong?
Yeah. Well, the thing I will say, it is part of I love the XRP family, is that there continues to be some of the other chains, the maximalism, where it's not that they're spreading misinformation, it's actually disinformation. It's done with ballast. It's done with kind of like, they know that's not true, and they're still kind of echoing that. So, look, I'm probably more of a lurker on X these days, or Twitter, than a poster, and I just like to read kind of what's going on out there, and every once in a while I'll dive in. But, there clearly remains confusion, intentional or not, around kind of, okay, what is Ripple and how does Ripple fit here? What is, XRP? How do we think about the XRPL? What is open source? What are the contributions to it? Where are we going with that? I thought David Schwartz, and not surprising, did a great job yesterday talking about where we're going and how we are kind of championing the whole community, what we think is important. But you have to remember, there's things that have passed the amendment process on the XRPL that Ripple didn't support. And that's okay. Like, that's the whole point of open source technology. But I mean, some things you didn't specifically ask, but you look at what's happened around the ETFs. Because, again, the headwinds and tailwinds, because we've had these headwinds, some aspects around XRP have been behind other L1s. That's now catching up. You're seeing inflows into existing ETFs. You're seeing more ETFs go live. You're seeing more talk about this new category we call digital asset treasury. You've got MicroStrategy spin-offs, if you will, not literally, but kind of similar things. I think it's just going to continue to create a lot of tailwinds where XRP has been held back. I'm optimistic that through the balance of the year and beyond, when you're artificially held back, I used the analogy one time to help if you hold a balloon underwater long enough, of course it pops up when you let go of it. And so we saw that happening over the next 6 months. But now we're seeing a lot of the organic and in some case inorganic through Ripple's acquisitions, things pushing the industry, the community forward, the XRP ecosystem forward, that I think should really have a positive impact.
Anything in particular, because you're up to a lot of different things, and again, some of them are subtle, but they speak a lot of money. Anything that you
haven't pre-announced our acquisitions?
Based.
I will say on the record here, there's a lot of rumors about Circle. We definitely never offered $20 billion to Circle. That was really that there. Like I actually, and I mean this consistently, I said earlier, my sense is Circle's got to get public, and I hope it does well. That's good for crypto. We obviously believe in RLUSD. I think that there's a place for what's happening in RLUSD to drive activity on the XRPL. One of the things that'll be interesting to watch, people now, because of the Circle S1, people now understand how much money they give to Coinbase. Okay, so now I'm the CPO of another global exchange. Should I use the one that drives all the money and profit to my competitor? It creates a conundrum. And by the way, I'm pro USDC, so please don't tweet out that Brad's talking shit about leave that. I truly want everybody to take a moment to a shout out to Bradley Kimes, wherever he is. You know, this, I mean, as I look out over this group, like this has grown in a profound way, and it is, I think, a magical moment in the XRP family. This no longer feels like, okay, it's just a handful of people kind of getting together, this cottage thing. It's like, no. This is here, it's here to stay, it's profound. It's only gonna grow from here. I truly believe that. Ripple will continue to lean in and to support that. But what I get the most kind of like, I of course appreciate all of the positive comments. Like, the whole idea that I'm the best CEO in crypto, like it's a low bar. I'm gonna retract that. Did not say it. Look, of course, it's nice to see people and meet people. But I'll go back to what I said earlier. It's hearing the entrepreneurial journeys that people are on in building. Look, even I went to the Bitcoin conference for a little bit as part of the School of Satoshi stuff, and hearing about some of the builds that are going on, it's just awesome. And I do think what we are building here as part of this event is analogous. And I want the entrepreneurs out there to feel loved and supported from me, from Team Ripple. We want more people to succeed at this ecosystem, and I think we're going to see more of that as the tailwinds grow in the XRP world.
Well, I can only say that you do leave me speechless, and I hear then you leave us all speechless and inspired. So I want to thank you and Bradley Aslo for giving me the opportunity to keep you.
I will also say I view Chris as one of the good guys at this space and has been, and I think, look, we as a community need to a retraction didn't work. It's like, who knows, there's something he's about to say. Something's not, this is the right guy. The Ripple PR team was quick, shut it off. How was this shit all good? I thought I lost my train of thought. I think I was just saying that you're one of the good guys. I appreciate it. It's a mutual adoration up here. But look, I immensely appreciate all of the support. The last few years have been tough. You guys stuck with us, and it's not lost upon me how important this community is to Ripple's success, to the XRP ecosystem's success. So a genuine, heartfelt thank you to all of you all.
I mean, we're done.